Andy and me left for a short walk from Bude back to where we were staying at Penhalt farm. The weather was rather gloomy and overcast, but still quite mild. We set off from the Kiss Me Quick area of Flexbury, past the golf links and into the town of Bude itself, where we very much enjoyed walking along the unusual canal. Now, the Bude Canal was built expressly to transport shelly, lime-rich sand from the beach inland to put on the fields for fertiliser. Within short order, we were up on the cliffs and heading southwestwards towards our final destination, the farm at which we were staying.
Morning walking fans, bit of an octagonal tower going on here with a cross on top, and it's like a compass in stone. A little bit of drizzle around my knees. A rather sorry looking gaff over there. It says Elements, open all day, bar, cafe, pizza and pasta. And it looks like it's had a bit of a doing over by perhaps Storm Eunice. Sorry about the traffic, walking fans, but this walk is not the most remote of walks we've done this week, but Elements is no longer in its element. Well, hello again walking fans. I'm just about to enter Widemouth Bay. I've always wanted to call it Widemouth. Don't know why, but I just did. Just had to pause the video there for a few seconds because of a serious cough, walking fans, and not COVID. We've just got into Widemouth Bay, and this, unbelievably, it may seem from its rather tranquil coastline today, not terribly stormy, and these lovely cliffs, this is the digital gateway of Britain. I think back in the 1840s, 1850s, the first telegraph cable was laid that connected the 3,000 plus miles between here and the States. I think Newfoundland the first cable came from. The first message that was sent, I'm going to check the date on my map, was sent on the 16th of August 1858, and the message was, "Glory to God in the highest, on earth peace and goodwill to all men." I quite like the second part. That was sent by the Atlantic Telegraph Company chief executive, which in today's computing terms, it wasn't obviously computing then, but the amount of data sent was equivalent to a single kilobyte per second. And we now talk about data transfer on these incredible cables at speeds of in excess of 300 terabytes per second, enough to send the entire, physical library of the British Library probably about every nanosecond. It's that quantum of activity that's sent in. The most recent cable is opening up this year. It's called the Grace Hopper cable. It's a Google cable. So literally, Google enters physically Great Britain here. I doubt if we'll see any sign of these cables, but I've got my eyes peeled for it. But it's an astonishing place to be. And by the way, Grace Hopper, woman hero, dedicated her life to service. She was in the US Navy, I think, as a computer scientist, and was a genius, and is attributed to being the source of the phrase "to debug," because in one of the machines they were using back in the day, they found a moth inside the computer housing, and it was referred to as a bug, and debugging and computer bugs have entered the computer language since then. So she's a marvellous woman, and I did look her up, and this is what I particularly love about Grace Hopper. She said, "The most important thing I've accomplished, other than building the compiler, is training young people." Compiler's a computer thing, program code. They come to me, and say, "Do you think we can do this?" I say, "Try it," and I back them up. They need that. I keep track of them as they get older, and I stir them up at intervals so that they don't forget to take chances. What a marvellous quote that is. What a great sentiment. So Grace Hopper is a hero of mine. This bay and I don't suppose we're going to see any sign of it whatsoever. Something like 9 transatlantic cables come to shore here. So these are cables that have come over 3,000 miles from the States, including the first one ever in the 1850s, I think, which was used for sending the first telegraph transatlantic by the Atlantic Telegraph Company's chief executive, and a particularly pompous and biblical kind of quote it was. Anyway, things have moved on since then. The amount of data going down that cable was equivalent to about a kilobyte sent by Morse code, dot, dot, dash and all that. Now we have, of course, the high-tech stuff coming across, and this summer what's just opening up is the Grace Hopper cable. It's a Google cable, and it brings in a bit more than 1 kilobyte per second. It brings in over 300 terabytes per second. An astonishing amount of data comes in here. So literally, Google lands here, down below us, obscured by waves. Quite an astonishing thought. Bliss, just bliss.
Bliss indeed. Off the beach we went, walked over the dunes and the low cliffs, back up the hill to Penhalt farm. Both of us packed our bags and headed back to Bristol. Me to see the Rovers with the gang get promotion, and Andy to attend a family wedding. We came back down on the Sunday for more walking in glorious North Cornwall. Of course, the only possible choice for song for the day for the Bude to Penhalt stretch has to be Judy Collins' version of Amazing Grace.